What is one of the most hardest questions someone can ask you when it comes to movies? For me, it's who is the best Spider-Man? Now, when I think of best, a lot of people get confused with favourite and best. Now, best is basically who fits that character the best. Favourite means your personal favourite, who you enjoyed playing the Spider-Man character, or even Peter Parker character, or even both. I'm going to rank them from the worst to the best, in my opinion, on who is the best Spider-Man. Let's jump straight into it. At number 3, we have Andrew Garfield. Now, when anybody mentions the name of Andrew Garfield, they think, oh, here we go. Or, oh my god, he's terrible. Or this or that. I understand your points, but hear me out with why I think he's not an absolute failure when it comes to the Spider-Man franchise. I think all these actors done a great job, and here's why for Andrew Garfield. I think he done a great job with the stuff he was given right in front of him when it comes to the script, the storyline, the character depth. That wasn't his fault. He went out there and acted to the best ability he can. I think he done a great job with that. He's the strongest actor out of all three, in my opinion, from what we've seen so far, and as well as his other movies. I've seen a lot of movies of Tobey Maguire, a lot of movies of Andrew Garfield, as well as Tom Holland, and I think he's the strongest actor out of all three of them. I think he does a great job with the Peter Parker character, especially with the whole story behind Peter, because obviously you get the origin story yet again. It may not be as strong as the original, obviously, from Tobey Maguire, but you still get the origin story, as well as the character of Peter struggles with life when it comes to family and friends, his life at school, as well as his love life, as well as struggles of being a superhero. I think Andrew Garfield played very well, and that was the main thing, one of the main things that I really cared about when it was played by Andrew Garfield. But the main thing when it comes to Andrew Garfield's performance is the romance between him and Gwen. That is the key thing. He had the best relationship out of all of these three actors, and that is because the chemistry between him and obviously Gwen, obviously played by Emma Stone. I think these two, if they had the right backing and the right team and the right script, the right storyline, the right character build, all of that stuff, I think these two would go very, very far. Also, I think the movies coming from Sam Raimi's trilogy was a tough call, because especially coming from Spider-Man 3, which was a flop in a way as well, which many people hated, that's a tough call. But not only that, coming from number 1 and 2, which were dramatic, which were emotionally strong, that's a tough call. To be the next Spider-Man, to be the next Tobey Maguire, that's a tough call, which puts a lot of pressure on the cast as well as the team who are writing this. If the MCU took over and took this cast, especially if you have the likes, obviously, if you even think of the villains, Lizard, in this franchise, Lizard wasn't used correctly. If you think Rhino, the biggest joke when it comes to Spider-Man movies right now. If you think of even, obviously, the Goblin, played by a great upcoming actor of Dane DeHaan, and also Jamie Foxx's Electro. I think if you had the MCU controlling these with great writing, great character building, as well as great scripts, I think we'd have obviously a much better, a different opinion about Andrew Garfield and the whole team and the whole movie when it comes to the Amazing Spider-Mans. But the problem I have with Andrew Garfield, and yes, there is a problem, and that is the whole mystery behind Peter and his family. I thought there is a problem there, because obviously his mum and dad have disappeared, and they tried to have this whole mystery story around it, because they was trying to be different to the other, obviously, Sam Raimi's trilogy. And I get it, and it was sort of interesting, but it also affected the character of Peter, which was really annoying, because that was the one thing I had going for Andrew Garfield. See, the costume was wrong. I felt the way they used Spider-Man, even in Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man actually killed someone in that movie, and Spider-Man shouldn't kill people. So overall, I think he's a great Peter, but not a good Spider-Man. Then we have at number 2, we have Tobey Maguire, obviously the first big budget Spider-Man used in a movie. This is a lot of pressure, of course, coming out and creating something new, but not near as much pressure as Andrew Garfield had, of course. Raimi made a origin story which everybody, to be honest, is the best origin story of Spider-Man we've seen on a movie, of course. And I think, obviously, you have them great moments, obviously, like with great power comes great responsibility line from Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben's death. You have the relationship between MJ and Peter, the way they keep going on and off the rails, and how they even become a couple because of the consequences that happen happen in between that. You also get the nerdy awkwardness of Peter Parker from Tobey Maguire. He does a great job of that. You can actually see why girls would laugh at him, why girls would ignore him, compared to Andrew Garfield, for instance. That wouldn't have made sense with Andrew Garfield because the way he looks. Tobey Maguire looks like one of them type nerds, which made it understandable. But the bad side of Peter Parker when it comes to Tobey Maguire is he looks like a 25, 26-year-old. Peter Parker's supposed to be younger than that. That's the thing that really didn't work, as well as all the stupid dancing and the idiotic crying at times and the way it was just over-dramatic at times. I think that made Peter Parker's character for Tobey really tough to follow and to even agree with. The only thing that really kept it going was the whole origin story. But then you look at him as Spider-Man. I feel like he was a great Spider-Man. It's the opposite of Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield was a failure as a Spider-Man, but a good Peter. It's the other way around for me when it comes to Tobey. I feel like he was a great Spider-Man. He had great storylines, obviously, with great action and great villains as well. If you look at, obviously, the Green Goblin, you have, obviously, Doc Ock, and you obviously have, I know you have Venom, which didn't work out, but you had Venom in there. You had Sandman, and even, obviously, Younger Goblin. You had so many great villains in there that could have been, or was actually so successful. So I feel like they was built properly, most of them, and even Spider-Man in these movies had great costumes, whereas Amazing Spider-Man's really had terrible costumes in my opinion. They kept it original with Tobey Maguire, and that's why he was a successful Spider-Man but not a successful Peter. So what we've been searching for is a great Peter and a great Spidey, and we get that with number one, and that is Tom Holland. Obviously, Tom Holland is a mixture of being a good Peter and a great Spider-Man. And when I say good Peter, I mean that's because there is a little gap in that character of Peter Parker, in my opinion. But his version of Peter is trying to be different, which I can understand, to what we've seen in the past, of course. I think he's great because he's young and he suits the role in that character. He has the energy, the charisma of Spider-Man from the comics, which is great. And I think that's what everybody really loves about Tom Holland. He has the physique for Spider-Man as well, and the humour too, which really is great. But the part that's really missing for me when it comes to Peter's side of things is the origin story. Now, I know they couldn't make it again due to obviously being too repetitive. Obviously, the Amazing Spider-Man's used it, so did the Sam Raimi trilogy. But really, even though I've tried to understand and agree with it and try to move on, it's something that still is a little gap in Peter Parker's story. Now, even using a great guy like Tony Stark, it's sort of being replacing Ben, Uncle Ben, really, in a way, in a smart way by the MCU, I must say. But it just doesn't feel right, especially seeing how successful in Tobey Maguire's movies the origin story worked. I think if they'd done Tobey Maguire's origin story with Tom Holland, it would make the character perfect, in my opinion. And that's coming from a massive Tony Stark and Iron Man fan, and even Robert Downey Jr. fan. I'm a big fan of this character, and I still like, don't get me wrong, I still like the character arc which they're giving him, obviously looking up to Tony Stark and Iron Man, and how they're dealing with that afterwards in Spider-Man Far From Home. I love it still, but it's still, for me, I would prefer the origin story which we received from Tobey Maguire's movies. That really is the one thing that really is something that makes sense, especially in the scene where Spider-Man under the rocks, obviously the Vultures knocked all the rocks on it in Spider-Man Homecoming. That really, you need a voice from Uncle Ben there saying, with great power comes great responsibility, or whatever. It just boosts the character. It makes sense. Tony Stark wouldn't make sense there. That's really what really bugs me, because there's just a little gap in that character. But then we look at the relationship side of things as well when it comes to Peter and MJ. That was a thing that really bugged me in Spider-Man Homecoming. I never felt that. But now they're starting to flare up. After Far From Home, I'm starting to see that, which is great. But it was an issue beforehand. But now they're starting to fix that, which is great, as I said. I hope they get this right, really, the relationship, because it is key. It was something that was key for, obviously, Andrew Garfield's side of things, as well as the character building, which was key in Tobey Maguire's things. And that's what I'm hoping they continue to be original and unique in their own way to do what they're doing, especially with the great villains which they've been bringing, like Mysterio, Vulture, and so much more to come. I'm super excited, and only it can help boost the character and the actor himself. So guys, that is who I think is the best Spider-Man, not favourite Spider-Man. That is the best Spider-Man in my opinion, with Peter's side of things and Spider-Man's. Don't forget to let me know your ranking down below in that comment section, and don't be too harsh on other people, because this is a heated subject which everybody has different opinions. We're all entitled. Let's just be friendly down below, please guys. And don't forget guys, if you enjoyed this video, simply smash the thumbs up, lets me know you enjoy the content to give you more just like this one, and shares the video around to other people to enjoy as well. As well as, if you're new here guys, consider subscribing and hitting that bell for much more. You're not going to want to miss the stuff coming up on the channel, as well as the stuff already on the channel. We've got a bunch of stuff when it comes to movies and TV series. There is so much stuff when it comes to reviews, ranking videos, as well as reactions to trailers and fan edits. We've got so much on the channel guys, especially when it comes to Marvel. So stay tuned guys. I've been me, you've been you, and I'll see you next time guys on Talking with Jay Springer.